Okay, do goals make you break out into hives, the idea of them, or do you kind of get excited about setting your new goals for the new year? As we are wrapping up 2025 and looking ahead, Nicole and I want to share with you some of our thoughts about goals, how to make them, how it works for both of us, how it might help work for you. This is Nancy and Nicole,
Yes.
real life, real talk. All right, Nicole, goals. What comes to mind for you when you hear that we're going to talk about goals today?
I'm fired up. Uh, I love goals. Goals are my, I was going to say love language. I don't know, maybe, but I like having goals. They do not scare me, but I definitely have a lot of stories around them. And the reason they don't scare me is I come at them with a very different approach. I know you do as well. It's what we're going to talk about today. Then, kind of like we talked about in our business planning episode, have a goal, have their 800-point steps on how you're going to get there. It's not what I do. Um, so let's talk about just first of all the word goals. We talked about this as we were prepping for this episode. I don't call them goals, and I don't think you do either. What do you do to reframe it?
I am more likely to think of it as an intention than a goal. Goal feels super measurable, specific, and I'm not always clear when I start out in the direction of accomplishing something. I don't know all the hows of how to
Hmm.
get from here to there. I may have some ideas about how to get there, but I also know that it is evolving and iterative and will change 100 times between now and the time I get there. So I leave a lot more fluidity. Um, so I like the word intentions. How about for you?
I love it. So question, and then I'll share mine.
Sure.
So when you have an intention, is it kind of around we'll say a tangible thing, whether it's
Mm.
income or getting something done, or do you include, is part of the intention how you're going to feel or what will happen as a result of having this thing happen?
I just Your question made me realize that my autobiography should be called An Accidental Life. Um,
The
I've had
best.
many other ideas for autobiographies that I'm sure I will never write, but An Accidental Life might be the new top one. Um, I am not a big, like, what do I want my life to look like in a year, 5 years, 10 years? I can do the 10 years
Hmm.
pretty well, but whenever you're in a retreat or coaching something and somebody's trying to give you that exercise and then bring it back to, "Okay, so what do you need to be doing today to
Hmm.
make sure that you have that life in a year and 5 years and 10 years?" I just am like, I draw a blank. It is just painful. So that kind of drilling down into a goal, or intention is not very helpful for me.
Hmm.
I do know, um, that it's very driven by how do I wanna feel.
Yeah, love it.
Like, I
For
know
me,
for
I think that's
myself,
a
if
bigger
I am
driver.
not having fun and not like lampshade on my head, dance on a table fun, like, when people talk about the different,
Hmm.
personality types and there's the party person, it's like, "Oh, I am not that."
Right.
Like, I think I'm fun, but
Hmm.
not that kind of fun. I'm way too buttoned up for that kind of fun.
Okay.
Um, but fun is a driving thing, and I just wanna feel like, whatever it is I'm doing, there's some alignment about my core values and how I wanna show up in the world.
Hmm.
Not necessarily how I wanna show up for other people, but how I wanna show up for myself. So if whatever that intention is in alignment with that, that gives me a lot of clarity and momentum to be able to make progress toward it.
I love it. Awesome. Yeah. And I am similar. You've reframed goals as intentions. The word, while I love direction. I know I want to be working towards something. The word goal, though, is one that I have let go of or reframed because to me, there's something about the word goal that there's a pass fail element to it. Like
Mm,
you come up, and especially when they say the more specific you make the goal, I'm like you, mine are more general because
right.
if you're just listening to this and not watching the YouTube version, you're missing the fact that I really talk with my hands. I am over here. I got my whole thing going on.
You and I
Um,
both.
so wow, flailing. But so the pass fail element doesn't feel good, and so having something super
Yeah.
specific. While I have a direction, again, because if you get there, fantastic. But at least for me, if I don't get there, then I, for some reason, tend to interpret it as a self worth thing or a capable thing. Maybe I'm not worthy of the goal, or I'm not capable, or there's an internal judgment, not a great one, that happens if I don't reach that goal. So I have rephrased it as an experiment. So everything
Oh.
I'm working towards is now it's okay. So this is where I'm going, what I want, what have you. If I go with the assumption that, of course, I can have this thing, and of course, I am worthy, capable, all the things, then the experiment is what are the steps I choose to get there
Mm.
that may or may not, and quite honestly, they may or may not work. At least it's the first time I go after something it is that I want to have. But and if I get there, awesome, nailed it, love it. But if not, the goal is still attainable. I am still worthy. Maybe I just need to come at it from a different direction. And that allows me to stay engaged in the process. So I love the word experiment.
Ooh, I love that.
Thank you.
Because experiment now, I don't think I've taken a science class since I was like 13, but and I didn't do very well in science. But my recollection about the whole nature of experiment is there's a lot of trial and error in there.
Yeah. And
There's
there's
a
different,
hypothesis, you're
yeah,
trying different things, and then you figure out sort of what works.
yeah.
Wow, I
You
think I
nailed
might
it.
have just shown is that really how
Yeah, you
science
nailed it.
works?
Like you're trying to
Experiments?
do this thing and you've got your they're called variables. You have your
Ah,
variables and you're going to
yes.
play with those to see if you mix them all together and it gets you where you want to go. And if so, like I said, great.
Mm,
But if not, it just means the variables need to be tweaked, or there's like a timetable. There's something that needs to be tweaked, but there's no question of can I get to where I want? And that
mm.
has worked again from an energy perspective. That allows me to feel open and freer, and also acknowledges the what I believe is a fact of nothing is ever linear. As we're talking about, you're going to get to January 1 of 2026. And the only thing I can guarantee you on December 31st of 2026 is there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that happened in the middle, never saw coming or never could have guessed. Even if, and specific to a goal, let's say you set a year-long goal, I guarantee how you got there will not be the way you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I need to leave space for that so that I can stay engaged in the process and I'm not constantly second guessing myself, which then derails me and takes me out of action.
Oh, there's a lot of golden nuggets there, my friend.
Well, thank you.
That was really good.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, and one of the things that makes sparked for me as you were saying that is my relationship with goals slash intentions slash experiments has totally changed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, goals historically has carried a lot of shame with it because I'd
Mm.
set them and then I wouldn't accomplish them and I felt like a failure.
Yeah.
That's
And
got
that's not fun.
I'm pretty sure I'm the only person who's listening to this podcast who's ever felt that. Seemed important to acknowledge that it might be kind of a common human nature thing. But it feels crappy. So
It
then you
does.
go, oh well, then I'm not going to set the goal. But then if you aren't setting anything, I think it's really easy to just go into autopilot for your life
Mm-hmm.
and not be sort of growth mindset,
Mm-hmm.
uh, trying to grow and evolve and whether for a richer life for yourself or have your business be different or whatever it is. Um, so I think you can get stuck in well, I don't want to fail, so I'm not going to put it out
Right.
there. And then I went through the decade or so where whatever coaching program I was in or self-help
Mm-hmm.
something or other, it was all about put it out there, announce it to the world, that'll hold you accountable, and then you'll feel that pressure to perform. Oh my God. nothing could be more counterintuitive and a total setup for me than that bullshit. And again, more shame, more self-fulfilling prophecies of I'm a failure. Like, I
Mhm.
think my whole from like my mid 50s were totally driven by that. Which is not a great, it doesn't feel very good. And
No.
so then I just like did more and more backpedaling away from the notion of goals because I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to set myself up. Um, and what I love is somebody recently used the metaphor of um, if you set the GPS in your car
Mhm.
where you're going to get from here to wherever you're going. And I love this because they talked about, you can make so many different turns. I mean, GPS can tell you to
Right.
turn right on Jackson. You can turn left or go all the way up to Yesler. I mean, whatever. Um, but GPS will keep, there's actually 2 points of this story. One is it will keep autocorrecting to help get you from here to where you're going. But the other thing, and this was really the why I wanted to reference this, is if you are still sitting in your driveway in park, you're never going to get there.
No. You have to do
And I
something.
feel like I spent most of my life, obviously not all of it, because I've done some things, I've
Mhm.
accomplished some things, but I overthink so much and I get so stuck and I don't want to fail that I have a new relationship at now 64 with putting my car in drive. Just take an action. Doesn't even matter if it's the right one or not. It's just
Yeah.
movement. You are going to get more information with every turn. You're gonna know if you're in alignment or if you're out of alignment. You're gonna know if it feels good or if it's not. You're gonna feel that dissonance.
No, I think that's all you need to know is the next step. Me, I'm saying we, hoping I'm not alone here, is, I set a goal. There's the end result. Like, can we just get there? And usually there's some time involved and, multiple steps in between. And it's easy. This also dovetails in our business planning episode that where we talked about we're not the super binder 800 plan step thing. Um, because you can't know all of those a lot of the time. And I believe, at least for me, I don't need to. I just need to take the next step because once I take the next step, then the one after that becomes evident. But it's in the motion that momentum is created. I always say, imperfect action is better than perfect planning. Taking a step, any step really moves you closer than being driveway in the park forever getting that perfect plan together. That's never going to work. Anyway, when we're talking about goals, how do you know if it's, I was not necessarily so much, how do you know if it's your goal? Because I think it's
Mhm.
very easy when everybody else is posting theirs to go, I should, I should want that. Like I was sharing before the episode, I, you know, and again, I have a very successful real estate business, but there's so many people that do more business than me. And I used
Yeah.
to get caught up in thinking I need to do more when I actually don't really want to because what I do supports mine. But even years ago when my dad had a house about 5 or 6 hours away, I had a goal of owning a second home by my dad. And I wasn't getting there. And finally somebody said, and I shared that goal with somebody, she's like, "Is that really your goal?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." "Are you sure?" About 5 or 6 back and forth, I finally realized
Mm.
that actually wasn't my goal. I don't want a second home, but I thought I was
Yeah.
supposed to because that's where my dad lived, and that's what a good daughter does. But I actually didn't want the house.
Interesting.
Yeah. So how does
Mm.
that show up for you relative to, have you got caught up in that before? Or even as you're doing your own intention setting, how do you know when something's creeping in that you're like, I'm doing that for somebody else or because I think I'm supposed to, not because that's what I really want.
I think most of my shoulds come up around work.
Mhm.
Like, I have such an encyclopedia, for those of you younger than me, that would be like Google, the internet worth of information in my head that tells me how I should be. Like, if I was really a good realtor, if I was a professional, if I was
Uh-huh.
successful, I would have certain things.
Right.
goals, structure, business plan, all those things. And the reality is I've been doing this 20 years. I'm pretty good at what I do. I don't necessarily want to have a big team or sell gazillions of dollars. Like all those other things aren't as
Mhm.
important to me. Otherwise, I would have built that kind of business.
Yeah.
But man, it's that comparison crap really bites me in the butt a lot. So I think sometimes just with age comes a little bit of clarity. I don't
Mhm.
feel um as challenged by taking on other people's goals, although it still is there for sure.
Sure.
Um, but I kind of care less about it. Again, the alignment piece, like I feel like I have some internal processes and systems that I don't even know that I run sort of as background operating
Mhm.
systems that when I get too far out of alignment, something happens that gets my
Right.
attention to go, honey, that ain't it.
Yeah.
Um, I also think I'm just not a linear person. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, as my mom, we talked about in an earlier episode when she would describe my professional life as a mosaic path. Um, it's pretty true. So, how I'm going to get from here to whatever that goal or intention is going to look a little like off course a lot of the time, but I just am
Right.
constantly course correcting. So I don't know if I necessarily have specific things as much as an intuitive piece. Um, and recognizing that I don't think having a goal and not accomplishing it is a failure anymore. It's
No.
information about what's
Mhm.
important to me.
Yeah. I love
Because what I do know is important to me today is the consistency of cold plunging every day.
yeah. Love that you do that.
And a year ago, if anybody had said, Nancy, you're going to spend almost every day in 2025 getting up and going and cold plunging, could never have dreamt that. Even when I started cold plunging, I didn't think I was going to do that. So, but is it a goal? Not necessarily. It's an intent. It's something that I know feels good to me and serves me. And there may be a day that I wake up, well, every day I wake up and say, I don't want to do this. But at some point, I may come to the aha, like, I'm going to do something else that serves me. Like that consistency in action. I'm not really sure that's a helpful.
No, so what I just heard or what I just got out of what you said is, especially around the words, an intention is something like cold plunging is a perfect example. You are doing it and your intention is to keep doing it because it serves you, like to your core.
Yeah.
And you've talked about it many times of the different benefits and reasons you love cold plunging. I think that's amazing. Whereas a goal, there's it's a surface thing. Like it's just something to
Mm,
be checked off the list. And you've done it. And there's a performative, I know as one of your, there's a performative aspect of it. If the goal is just to cold plunge every day,
mm,
then it's a surface thing and it's a performative thing almost that you're doing for others. Like, look, see, I told you I cold plunge every day. Look at me. Whereas
mm,
if the intention is to cold plunge, you're doing it because it serves you at your core. And then we're just along for the ride because you do it all on social media and we get to often
yeah.
I'm like, whew, better you than me. But anyway, uh, so I don't know. Does that ring true or does that,
No, it definitely in the world of being and doing,
right?
I think of goals as following very much into the doing.
Doing. Mm-hmm.
In my life, I am mostly driven and my alignment and my GPS and everything is much more tuned to the being piece.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have to do stuff. Like, nobody's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
hire me as a realtor if I'm not actually gonna help them sell their house or buy a
totally.
house. Like, I think, there's definitely and there's goals involved in
Mm-hmm.
that.
For sure.
But but so I think there is a place for those goals and timelines
Oh
and
yeah.
being specific and all of that. Um, and I'm usually in those kinds of doing focused aspects of my life that do have some sort of linear nature to them, like,
Mhm.
"You're hiring me now, and we're gonna put your house on the market in January, and this is what that's gonna look like." I had a lot of goals, a lot of structure, execution, but somehow when started this conversation and talking about goals in general, and I was thinking more about life in general, um, I am way more squishy about it. Like, for
Yeah.
example, I don't have a set, and this pains me, and I know some of you who, if you're listening to this, you know I'm talking about you, 'cause people tell me all the time, "Nance, you gotta have a number and a goal for when are you gonna retire?" I'm like, "I
Do
don't.
you though? I mean, do you?
I don't. Clearly you don't because I don't have one. If anything, I'm starting a new business at 64. Like, I don't think retirement is in the forefront for me."
Absolutely. So it's the should stuff. You should have a retirement date. You should, and maybe someday that'll change. Maybe someday you will. But
Ugh,
if you're doing what you love, and there are different, I mean, certainly, yes, around real estate, I don't, show up at a listing point and be like, I am so excited to experiment with you. Nobody would ever hire me. I wouldn't hire me, right?
no,
For that, I have a goal. Well, they have the goal. I have the plan to execute the goal. And there's a checklist and we get that sucker done. Um, Same with our buyers. So there's a time and a place for all of this, right?
absolutely.
Um,
Just to be clear.
yes, yes. Uh, but yes, as we're talking about kind of the bigger context of life and that type of thing. Yes. And now I lost my train of thought, but
Yeah.
it's different.
I also think going back sort of into the big picture of life goals,
Hmm.
I think one of the things that is true for both you and I
Hmm.
is we don't get super caught up in the how.
No. Who, what, where, when, how? None of that.
Yeah.
Because it's not linear, like you said.
So for people, like, how do you get how? I can't even ask the question with I mean, I just think it's curious. So if you were to describe to somebody succinctly, which I'm asking you to do because you know I can't do it succinctly, uh, how do you know when you are on the path toward
Ooh.
reaching something that you've said you wanted to reach? How's that for
Hmm.
being very vague? It's not an experiment, it's not an intention, it's not a goal, it's just
Flowing with it.
something's out there, you're moving in that direction. What does
I'm
that feel like
taking,
for you or look like for you?
yeah. For me, it looks like I'm taking action.
Mm,
I have a framework in that I have people kind of nurturing me along, right? Whether that's a coach or friends that are encouraging me or all of, mentor, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm engaged in it. Like for
mm,
me, if I am, to use your analogy, stuck in the driveway in park doing absolutely nothing, overthinking, it usually means it's not my goal or it's
yeah,
not in alignment with me. Or if I feel so, if I'm stuck and not taking action, it's usually not my goal
mm,
or something about that goal needs to be adjusted. And if I am stuck in overwhelm, it means the path I'm taking to the goal needs to be adjusted. So it might not mean that the goal isn't correct or mine, but it means I'm trying to force how it happens or the why or the when or all of that. That's when I feel overwhelmed because I actually, in reality, it is very rare for me to be overwhelmed because I can get a lot done if, again, if I'm in alignment and going the right direction. Does that answer your question? Well,
well,
there you go.
oh, again, once again, it makes me go, "Oh, we can have this whole other conversation about, making stuff happen, like
Yes.
force versus flow." There's some book
Yeah.
that I bought years ago, I think it's called
Oh,
Force versus
yeah. I
Flow.
think it's flow versus force. It's good. Blue cover. I've
Um,
got it.
in fact, I have a tattoo here on my arm that is all about force versus flow, and I think that is something we should bookmark
Okay.
for more conversation because I do think that is very much tied with all the things that we're going to talk about because it is about those stories we tell ourselves and about goals. And Yeah. If you are trying to make something happen through sort of shoving it force, I just want to tell you, I think you might want to rethink the thing.
Yeah.
And that's
See, they're
not to
not
say the
yeah.
action steps are always easy. That like
No, there's I have
don't
to do plenty
misread
of
that
stuff I
from this
really would rather
conversation.
not. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Don't take it as, "Oh, if it's hard," Nancy and Nicole says, "That might not be the right thing for me." No, 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 that
yeah,
is not
or
what
it's
we're
not meant
saying.
to be, I'm not capable, like, yeah, I do all kinds of stuff that I would really rather not. But, yeah, no,
Yeah.
so,
And
there
do
you go.
you feel like I mean, I feel like well, one of the things you and I are both saying is that there's no one right way.
No, for
You can
any of
call
it.
it something other than a goal. You can either be super linear about some
Mhm,
goals and very mosaic-y, intuitive, experimenty about other
mhm,
ones. That it really is about the context and what kind of
yes,
goal that you're trying to accomplish,
right,
that it's gonna be different for different kinds, different seasons in your life,
all the things.
all the things. Isn't that nuts? Like, no wonder, it feels so layered and complicated, and, I mean, I just even think in this conversation we're having, the stories that keep popping in my head of like,
Mhm,
"Oh my god, it is complicated." No wonder I have been so stuck and immobilized, and I think I'm trying to do something, but it really is, as you were saying, it has meant that I have been, um, trying to do somebody else's life, really.
huh. It's easy to have happen, and that's before you log on to social media and see everybody else's posts, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, clearly I'm so behind."
Yeah. Well, clearly you and I could keep talking about goals and intentions and all this stuff for a very long time. I hope for you listening that this has been insightful, has helped you feel like you are not alone in the stories you tell yourself. And we thank you for joining us. And as always, please like, share, comment, subscribe,
Leave a
eh,
review,
leave a
all the
review, all the things, and come back for the next another episode. We love having you here.
bye.
See ya. See you on the flip side.